Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I'm your instructor, facilitator, and mentor, Dr. Aisha Mahmood, and I welcome you all to the third week of the online course Introduction to Information Technology. This week, we are trying to learn about Internet. After completing this lecture's content, you will be able to describe the purpose of an IP address and its relationship to a domain name. Before actually discussing the IP address, I would like you to watch this video and then come back to discuss some of the key points. The internet relies on an addressing system, much like the postal service, to send data to a computer or device at a specific destination. An IP address, short for Internet Protocol Address, is a sequence of numbers that uniquely identifies the location of each computer or device connected to the Internet. The Internet uses two IP address schemes, IP version 4 and IP version 6. Due to the growth of Internet, the original IP version 4 addresses became dwindling in availability. An IP version 6 scheme increased the available number of IP addresses exponentially, as you have already seen in the video. Because lengthy IP addresses can be difficult to remember, the Internet supports domain names. A domain name is a text-based name that corresponds to the IP address of a server that hosts a website. A domain name is a part of the web address that you type in a browser's address bar to access a website. अब आपको यहाँ पे जो तस्वीर नजर आ रही है उसमें IP4 एड्रेस दिया हुआ है और IP6 एड्रेस दिया हुआ है along with the domain name for Google's website. तो आप ये देख रहे हैं कि गूगल नेम जो है डोमेन नेम वो है google.com. तो ये जो .com है ये टॉप लेवल डोमेन कहलाता है. तो ये जो इसका बेसिकली सफिक्स है, सफिक्स ऑफ द डोमेन नेम is called top level domain, identifies the type of organization associated with the domain. So अगली फिगर में हम ये देखेंगे कि different TLDs जो हैं वो कौन कौन से हैं. इस फिगर में आपको ये नजर आ रहा है कि .com is the TDL, top level domain. This table shows some of the original TLEs, like .com is meant for commercial organizations, businesses, and companies. .edu is meant for educational institutions. .gov meant for government institutions. MIL is for military organizations. .net is for network providers, and .org is for non-profit organizations. And for K-12 schools, we use .K-12. यहाँ पे अब आप देखेंगे इसको हमने डिस्क्राइब कर दिया. और the TDLs, those are commonly used for websites outside the United States. The suffix of the domain name may include a country code. तो country code TLD बोलते हैं, CCTLE. तो यहाँ पे आपको कुछ CCTLDs भी नजर आएंगे, which is a two-letter country code, such as ऑस्ट्रेलिया के लिए हम देख रहे हैं AU, और देखिए कनाडा के लिए CA, जर्मनी के लिए DE, डेनमार्क के लिए DK, यूनाइटेड स्टेट के लिए US. इसी तरह सारी कंट्रीज के लिए टू लेटर CCTLDs are available. Are being introduced to give individuals and businesses flexibility and creativity when purchasing domain names. For example, .museum, .technology, .name, .biz have been introduced as TLDs within recent years. The organization that approves and controls TLDs is called ICANN, which you pronounce as ICANN. which stands for Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. So country code TLDs जैसे कि पिछली स्लाइड में भी हमने डिस्कस किया, अगर ऑस्ट्रेलिया के लिए AU है, तो अगर आपने इसी को वेबसाइट देखनी है, जैसे ये फिलिप्स ऑस्ट्रेलिया, तो आप देखें कि उसका एड्रेस कुछ इस तरह से होगा www.philips.com.au। तो जब भी कोई पाकिस्तानी वेबसाइट होगी तो उसके एंड पे .pk आएगा, और फॉर एग्जांपल मलेशियन होगी तो .my लिखा जाएगा। The domain name system, DNS, is the method that Internet uses to store domain names and their corresponding IP addresses. A DNS server is a server on the Internet that usually is associated with an ISP. This figure shows how a user's entered domain name, for example google.com, uses a DNS server to display a web page. Google in this case, when you enter a domain name, that is google.com, in a browser, a DNS server translates. देखिए अब step number 2 में क्या हो रहा है? It translates the domain name to its associated IP address so that the request can be routed to the correct computer. And as a step number 3, you can now have the displayed Google search engine in front of you. In this week, we have covered internet, the evolution of internet, some of the history. We have described various broadband internet connections. We also described how the internet works, what is the purpose of an IP address and its relationship to a domain name. Now it's the most favorite question. What to do next? अक्सर स्टूडेंट्स ये सवाल करते हैं कि लेक्चर्स देख लिए, रीडिंग कर ली, अब क्या करें, अब कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा। तो देखें, आफ्टर लिसनिंग ऑल द लेक्चर्स एंड रीडिंग ऑल द रिलेटेड बुक चैप्टर्स, you need to go through the extra material that is available on Google Classroom, and under the week 3 you need to watch tutorials, क्योंकि इस वीक से हम प्रैक्टिकल चीज़ें करना शुरू करेंगे, तो फिर उसके लिए I have selected Google G Suite for you to start with. So I have posted some of the tutorials on Google G Suite. So you need to watch all the tutorials and then you need to practice on Google G Suite and then complete your weekly assignment.